Okay, welcome back, everybody. I am going to talk about scouting bases today. And since it's hard to scout a base without actually making a hit, I will also, be demonstrating how to make a hit. This is going to be just a raid. I'm going to just do a friendly base. I saw that we have a bunch in here, so I think Jazz is pretty much my level. So let me talk just a little bit about my sort of standard army. Whenever I'm raiding, I try to always bring 3 generals. I don't usually bring my best generals, but, Jazz has got a pretty tough base, so I'll stick with that. I bring 3 heavy tanks, 6 commandos, 3 machine gunners, which I'll be changing that up as I get more troop capacity here, and my 8 bazookas. I bring 4 fighters and 2 bombers. And then now that I'm space age, I have a missile silo that comes along. Usually when I'm raiding, I guess I'm hitting a war base here, so I'll have a coalition on. Usually when I'm raiding, I don't bring alliance troops and I don't bring troop tactics. Although since this is a war base, I think it might not be a bad idea to practice with some troop tactics. So when I'm hitting a war base, I usually will bring a decent mix. I want troops that are going to do a lot of damage, so like bazooka troops, I'll maybe bring 2 of those. I want some troops that are going to protect them from enemy fighters, so like some machine gunners would be good. And then I usually like to bring troops that are just going to swarm. So impies are good for that, or vandals are good for that. Depending on the base, if there's really strong generals, I'll bring some Retarii, or Retarius, I guess, in this case. They're very strong at killing generals. I think it even mentions that in their damage. Double damage against generals. I don't usually bring a lot of tanks, and that's because I feel like the tanks that I'm bringing are sufficient, but we'll bring some tanks this time. Okay, so let's go see what Jazz's base looks like. Okay, pretty good layout here. It's got some... Well, he's kind of got one big wall, and then he's got an inner wall. The anti-aircraft isn't... Sorry, I'm sort of picking apart your base here, Jazz, but I hope it's okay. Anti-aircraft isn't super upgraded. That's good. No obvious place where there's traps. I want to avoid these bastions because troops are going to gravitate towards those. So I'm going to just deploy right in the middle here. And yeah, I hit right on where the traps are. I'm going to take these guys out. Put my commandos near some gates. I'm going to see if I can't get this before it deploys. There's a SAM site. Alright, and then I usually like to drop my squishier troops away from where my heavies are, because my heavies are going to take all of that silo damage. I don't have to worry about hitting the silo in advance, because I know that my heavy tanks can handle that, and I'll maybe even drop a heal on those guys. It's usually a bit earlier than I like, but they're taking a lot of damage right now, so drop that last general over there. Okay, and I want to use my bombers to try and help me score some quick vicks here. Bombers are key. You want to make sure that you're targeting, there we go, high hit point targets. Wonders are high hit point targets. Mills and markets are high hit point targets. Oil well, or I guess oil reserve is a high hit point target. The fort is high hit points. Those are all going to give you 2 or 3%. Like if we watch here, once this goes down, boom, yeah, that's like a 3% jump in damage. So I think the 50% quick vic is a lot easier to get, especially if you're packing bombers, than the town center quick vic. The town center quick vic, you really are putting a lot of pressure on yourself to push into that base quickly, right? And if you got a base like this where the walls are pretty good and you got to go through 2 levels of walls plus these traps, even though these traps aren't fully upgraded, you're just sort of setting yourself up for a lot of stress. And what ends up happening a lot of times in that situation is people are going to use this rally to, that rally to get to that town center quickly. But what that does is it leaves your troops really vulnerable to attacks. There we go. From the troops that are anywhere and everywhere else, right? Because once you hit that rally, all of your troops, no matter where they are on the board, are going to go to whatever you've rallied until that thing is destroyed. Or if you just rally at a specific target, they're going to go to that. And so that leaves them super susceptible. I think rallying the town center is 99.9% of the time a terrible idea. Better to miss the quick vic than to lose your whole army, in my opinion. So hitting that or going for the 50% quick victory is a lot easier because it's not going to force you to focus solely on the town center. All right. So, anyways, that hit went pretty well. What did we clock in at there? Little less than 2.5 minutes. That's not bad. So didn't beat Droll. Droll got to us a little quicker, but he's also packing a lot more firepower. Although he didn't use any troop tactics, so maybe I'm cheating. And he only used two actual tactics. What did we use? Yeah, we used most of ours. I saved a couple. All right. Anyways, let's maybe just go do an actual raid then and see what that's all about. So with the scout, you're looking to get a sense of where the base is. You want to avoid the bastions because your troops are going to go right for those. The AI is sort of programmed that, troops love bastions. So make sure you hit those. When I'm doing scouting, I'm looking to see what level, what age, and what resources are available. This guy's fairly close level to me, but he's an age ahead, and technically 2 ages. All of my troops are Cold War age still. So I have my fighters are the first level of space age, and that is it. So essentially I'd be punching up 2 ages, which is really tough. This guy is lower level than me, but also still 2 ages. His resources aren't great, and his walls are brutal. I mean, those are, I think, maxed out for digital. So his anti-aircraft is very good. He has lost some traps, which is a benefit, but no thanks. Too much risk, not enough reward. Another digital age, fairly low level, fairly low resources. Walls like gangbusters. Good anti-aircraft. Layout here is pretty bad, but nevertheless, I'm gonna skip it. Okay, hopefully we find a good one. That's already, I can tell, 347. That's 60 levels ahead of me or something. It's not happening. Resources aren't good, although the traps are tripped. The walls are pretty good, but not crazy good. Anti-aircraft, though, is pretty strong. No generals. That's always a bonus. But not enough reward for making that hit. All right, here's a space age. He's got 1 blessing on. His towers are going to hit a little bit harder. But I'm not too concerned about that. This would be a great place over here to deploy my commandos. Some easy targets there for them. And he's got his poor use of bastions. Like, what are you doing here, guy? Honestly. All right, let's try this one. Not a ton of resources. I don't usually like hitting bases that have blessings on because there's really no benefit to me in targeting that. But I'm going to kind of spread my commandos out this time because there's just a lot of easy targets around the perimeter of this base. And I think I can get quite a bit done with that. All right, get some fighters in here. Check back in on these guys. All right, let's get my squishy troops out there. Let them do their thing. Run some bombers. My commandos are doing pretty well, although they're starting to attract a lot of attention here. This is where the decoys come in really handy, and the fighters. This is what you want your fighters to do. They should, as much as possible, keep those guys clean so they can do their work, although I kind of failed over there. But that's okay. I think I still have one guy running around somewhere doing something good, so all right, let's heal these dudes up. Running low on time for that quick Vic. Oh, can I hit this? Oh, just missed it. That's all right. For raids, I don't usually worry too much about the quick victory. It's nice if you get it, but it's never a priority for me. All right, we're gonna work on these and these. Sabs are great if you have bombers because they essentially let your bombers do their thing without being destroyed. On the defensive side of things, this is where your SAM sites are super helpful because they are going to, be the most effective thing you have against bombers. All right, we've pretty much cleared this base. It's just a matter of finishing it off at this point. And my bombers are going to be more than up to the job for that. So we're just going to let this run. No mercenaries needed. No troop tactics needed if you're smart about making your base choices. And like I said, this is where the bombers really shine. They're going to make short work of what's left of this fairly spread out, targets that remain. Just got to be aware of what's coming. Okay, clearing that. I'm going to put some activity down here. See if these guys can take out this farm. Now's a good time to rally the town center. Just speed up their damage. Let my bombers do the rest of the work on the rest of this base. And we should have it here. Boom. All right. We didn't have to mess with the walls too much. We did get caught up in one bastion up there, but not a big deal. Decent resources. I mean, between the bonus and what we actually got, I'll cover my costs. Fortunately, it didn't cost me everything I had. I didn't lose any planes, so that's going to be a big savings, which is always a good thing. So yeah, I only ended up spending 4,000 and then another 1,000 on my silo. I think that's pretty great. Okay. So there we go. We came out a few thousand ahead, which is always a good thing. We put on a defensive general here. Actually, let's not do that one. We'll do this guy. Yeah, defensive general is really just so that they'll spawn machine gunners. That's the only reason why I bother with that. Okay, so there you have it. Oh, my array's done. That's fun. That's a raid. Maybe I guess we could watch the replay, and I can talk a little bit more about how this hit went and what was effective about it. So this guy, like I said, he's made really bad use of his bastions, right? I mean, they're protecting oil wells, which who cares? He's left a lot of his defenses out front here, which gives my commandos easy targets. There's very few troop spawners nearby. He doesn't have his Tubman research done, so these houses are not going to be a bother for me. Having that Tubman research is going to make your commando defense, or commandos, much less effective because they cut them down pretty quickly. So something to keep in mind. So yeah, my commandos, I think, probably the star of the show in this one. My heavy tanks did some good work. My bombers did some really good work. Oh, there's one of the SAM sites. But yeah, my commandos pretty much on their own cleared out all the important stuff down here, which was very great. All right. So, yeah, from here, I mean, most of their troop spawning defense is toast at this point. All they have left, I think, are these two, and this one's under construction. So he's just spawning very few troops. And, oh no, he's got one down here still. Bazooka troops, I did not deploy well. I should have been more mindful of where this bastion was. I knew they were going to go right for it. And they're caught up in here. This machine gunner is just going to rake them because their damage is suppressed while they're on the rubble. Not my best move. I probably should have deployed my bazooka troops over here and let them run in through this side. That would have been much more effective. But that's how it goes. Okay, so we can speed this up. We don't need to rewatch the whole thing. Notice how one of the last buildings I take out is this town center. I mean, you know, if you're going for the 50% quick vic, the town center's kind of not a concern. You know, you just get to it when you get to it. So, all right. So that's another video. Hopefully there's some useful information in there. If nothing else, you get to see a little bit of how I deploy my troops and how I go about scouting. I think the key for me is deploy your heavy, damage sponging troops away from your squishier troops, right? So I do my heavy tanks and generals in one part of the base, my commandos usually in a different part, and then my bazooka troops and machine gunners sort of follow up after that. And I think that allows for you to not have to worry about taking out the silo right away. That silo can do its thing. It can hit your tanks all day long. Your tanks are going to be okay. Pack a heal blessing. That's going to take care of that. And your squishier troops can do what they do best, and that's, damage walls, damage buildings, and cut down enemy defenders. And most of those enemy defenders that have spawned are going to go after your heavy tanks because those were the things you deployed first. So, pretty effective. All right, we'll leave it at that. I'll see you all next time.